One of the really powerful things about X-ray CT data is that it gives you information about what's below the surface of a part. Let's take a look at this die-cast alternator casing and analyze it for porosity. To run a porosity analysis, select the porosity button in the toolbar. That'll bring us into this segmentation interface, in which we're going to select a global threshold to segment the part. A threshold that's too low won't adequately distinguish the part from the background, and a threshold that's too high will actually erode the part and make it impossible to actually distinguish porosity. So what we're going to do here is walk the threshold up and down while we have some porosity in view here. So I'm going to zoom in over here, and we're going to walk the threshold up until we're capturing these big pores. We can move this around and slide it through to see that we've got a pore here that we're not catching. So I'm going to move that threshold up a little bit more. Let's see that we're now catching that pore. We've got a little bit of microporosity here that's still a little bit too low density to capture. So I'm just going to bring this up just a little bit. So now you can see that we're getting really good coverage of that porosity network here in the casting. Just take a look elsewhere in the casting. You can see that other pores are getting highlighted here. Once we're happy with our segmentation threshold, we can click Submit to send the porosity analysis job to the LumaField cloud. Once it's finished computing, it'll update automatically in Voyager, and we'll be able to look at the results. So I'm just going to click Update here to load those new porosity results. And now we have our porosity results. So now I'm in a porosity analysis in Voyager. In our porosity analysis, we have our crop tools, range mapper for the actual porosity metrics, our aggregates metrics table, our visualization controls, and a button to download the raw porosity results. Porosity results can be viewed in both 3D, which you can see here in this ghosted view, or in 2D, which you can see here on the right. You can scrub through and see individual pores highlighted here on the right, and if you select an individual pore, you can see where that pore is in the 3D part as well as in the 2D part, and get its individual pore metrics reported here in the porosity metrics table. The porosity range map displays the distribution of a given porosity metric. So in this case, we're looking at pore size, but we can also look at pore sphericity, as well as distance to surface. If, for example, we wanted to just select pores above 14 cubic millimeters in volume, we can slide the left threshold up and just isolate those voids, those pores here in the part. By selecting an individual void, we can snap to it in both 2D and 3D and read out its individual porosity metrics. In addition to pore volume, we also calculate sphericity. Sphericity is a measure of how round or how spherical a pore is. So a sphericity value of 1 means that we have a perfectly spherical pore, and a sphericity value of anything less than 1 indicates that that pore has some aspect ratio, either in 1 dimension, so a very long skinny pore, or in 2 dimensions, something that's flatter like a pancake. Sphericity can be an important metric for porosity because it gives us insights not only into the part itself, but into the manufacturing process that made it. Sphericity can be a useful metric for porosity because sphere shape can often have an impact on part performance. For example, rounder, more spherical pores tend to act less as stress concentrations, whereas higher aspect ratio pores can both serve as stress concentrations and crack initiation sites. In addition to providing insights into the parts themselves, sphericity can be very useful for understanding the manufacturing process that produced that part in the first place. Here we're looking at a die casting, and die casting is a very turbulent casting process. So the material enters the cavity very quickly and traps a lot of air, and then solidifies very quickly. And so all of those bubbles, which become these voids, become these pores, don't have time to relax back into a spherical shape. So instead, we're left with these frozen high aspect ratio, low sphericity voids. In Voyager, we calculate 3 different pore metrics: pore size, sphericity, and distance to surface. The third metric, distance from surface, is the minimum distance between the pore and the surface of the part. This can be really useful if you're going to be post-machining that part and you want to understand whether in that machining operation you have sufficient stock to not open up that pore. Looking at the distribution of distance from surface metrics, we can see that our deepest pore is about 5 millimeters into the bulk of the part. And as we threshold down, we can start to see our pores that are close to the surface, including this one, which is just below the surface of this bolt hole. So if we're going to be post-machining this, drilling this out very well might open up that pore. Sometimes it's useful to just calculate aggregate metrics on a subset of your pores. If I toggle on limit to range for my computed pore metrics, as I drop this threshold down, you can see that the aggregate metrics update based on what's selected in the UI. In order to get the most out of porosity analysis, it's helpful to visualize the data in both 2D and 3D. Let's go over some tips and tricks to do that. When you enter porosity analysis in Voyager, by default, Voyager ghosts out the part so that we can easily see those pores in 3D. For many visualizations, it's actually very helpful to undo that and look at the pores in the solid part. If we scroll down to Reconstruction Appearance and uncheck Grayscale, the visualization will now inherit the rendering settings from the parent reconstruction. By making the part solid again, we can now use our cropping tools and very easily see where the pores are in the part relative to the surface and see those pores in the bulk solid material. The cropping tool can be very useful to show the pores in the broader context of the 3D part. We can use these rendering settings to both make the part more solid and enable cropping to better see where the pores are in the bulk material, or we can actually use those rendering settings to just isolate the edges, making it easier to see where those pores are relative to those edges in the structure of the part. By dragging the range mapper handle to the left, we can eliminate the bulk material from the view, and we're just left looking at the edges of the parts. If we go back to our porosity analysis, we can now see very clearly the edges of the parts and where the pores are relative to those edges. We can visualize porosity data both in 3D here on the left and 2D here on the right. Clicking on an individual pore will select it with crosshairs and highlight its individual pore metrics here on the right. To give ourselves more spatial context, we can turn on the slice planes. For certain analyses, it's useful to be able to export porosity data into Python or Excel. To export data, click Download. This will download a CSV file of porosity data that can be opened in a spreadsheet or any analysis tool. So you can see here that each row corresponds to an individual pore, and each column is a metric. This was an overview of Voyager's porosity analysis tools. Porosity is an excellent example of a type of defect that is really only detectable with X-ray CT. To learn more about this and other analysis tools, visit lumafield.com.